All right, we've had a big week here at Didier Ranch headquarters, Bar X Productions Studios. I don't know what we call this, but had a big week, man. It's been cold. We've had freezes hit Oklahoma, fog, storm, snow, everything under the sun, and
everything but a tornado.
We kind of had a tornado though. A Nebraska tornado came through.
Oh, you're right.
Our friend Shiloh Farm, Noah Young, came through, and we got to make some videos with Noah Young. I know a lot of you probably on Facebook have seen his stuff. I'll have Connor throw up a video of his right here.
Have you ever wondered how they grade your meat?
Yeah, you'll recognize him.
And he's one of our good buddies. He stopped by. We broke bread with him. Granny made us waffles and sausage and pancakes. Her probably #1 meal that she can make now.
It was very good.
And she served her coffee.
Yes.
Which, if you haven't had any of Granny's coffee yet, click the link below, whatever.
Have some in
I know.
there,
well, Granny keeps drinking it. She gets she takes all our props.
I'm drinking water.
Yeah.
Granny drank all the coffee. So
if we do drink her coffee, she gets mad. But we had a great week. We've been having a great week so far, and it's been awesome to get to share, break bread with friendship, fellowship too, because Noah is a devout believer too.
Yeah,
and
we had some good talks with him.
Great talks, and like we always say, iron sharpens iron in everything you do. So. Hopefully some of the videos may be out by the time this is out. If not, you'll see him in the next few weeks. We collabed on with him on a few videos. But what it does as a Christian, being around other Christians that you're not around all the time, what it does is it almost like reinvigorates you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and I was going to say, he's a really good actor.
He is.
He's great personality.
Yeah, and because like he is like himself in the videos, but he's not like how we are caricatures of people like will comment about us.
Yeah,
it's like he's the same way for Noah.
It's like a reflection of ourselves and our character. He definitely is himself, but he's great on the camera too.
His personality is truly a personality though, and then there's the good, just like Noah guy too. That
he was fun to film with.
Yeah, it's fun, creative. It's really cool to have.
He got to sit here in our writing room and
we wrote one with him too. Yeah. That was fun. He's a hobo who comes to the farm. But
shows up on the
we realize it's Noah.
Yeah. Oh, it's Noah.
Well, that's been fun this week. But then I know, as our typical what we do throughout here, we have. Check the news with Jarrett. I liked what you did last week, Connor. That was fun. Cool. That was cool. It made me get in the mood for it. So imagine it's playing right now.
You need to do like on the news, like have me sit here and then put like the picture in the corner. So you do on the news. You know what I'm talking about? Right up here somewhere.
Maybe I don't know.
Yeah,
well, you got to turn a different camera angle. We don't have multi-cam set up here, so
we barely got one camera set up. So
might have to throw that video link it somewhere in there.
Yeah.
I totally. Get on to Connor for a second.
Well, on to the news.
Yeah, what's in the news this week, Jerry?
So my first headline, we did a video about the Stanley Cups the other day. And apparently, I think it was in California, this woman got arrested for stealing something like 60 Stanley Cups.
60 Stanley Cups?
Yeah.
What do you need 60 Stanley Cups?
I saw the picture of the police car, and he had all of them on his hood. She stole, it was like $2,000-something worth of Stanley Cups. I'm wondering how did she get those out of the store? Like, smuggling them up under their shirt, like 2 or 3 at a time, or what?
Can you imagine? Like, my deal, I always go like, what's going through that person's head being like, I'm going to steal all these Stanley mugs? Like, what I think about, and I think I'm just like, how am I going to steal the Declaration of Independence?
I'm going to steal the Declaration of Independence.
That's what comes through my head. But she's over here like, how can I steal 60 Stanley mugs? What is she going to do with that? Repurpose them?
She has to sell them. Like,
she an Etsy person who like puts her own
little label on there and...
You know, you can just order like knockoff of those from Alibaba for like $1 or something, $2. I don't know. That's hilarious. It's 60. So she convicted.
She got arrested. I don't know about convicted, but I know she got arrested.
Well, keep us updated on that one.
Yeah, we'll stay on that one. So the next headline is the stock market hit an all-time high this week.
Oh wow! Round of applause for the stock market.
For the stock market, Wall Street is just raking it in.
What does that mean for us, the everyday citizen, though?
Not much. Maybe your 401k is doing a little better, but. Pretty much what's happened, in my personal opinion, as a non-financial person, but just as in layman, all the money that our government has created over the past few years has to go somewhere, and it ends up going back into Wall Street, all the big corporations and stuff.
The rich have gotten richer since 2020, and all of us, middle class and below, have gotten poorer.
Yep.
So, but that's want to do your own research type things. Yeah. You can go figure that out for yourself. Who knows? Maybe you did do some great investments in the marketplace.
Yeah.
And congrats to you. Good on you.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I've got a few stocks and stuff.
I would guarantee most people who watch this are not people who've
Or like stockbrokers
Yeah,
and stuff.
yeah, exactly.
But okay, on to the next headline.
Okay.
This one's really affected us all.
What's that?
The Supreme Court ruled this week that the federal government can cut the razor wire that Texas had put up at the border.
Yeah.
And I think you mentioned this
Yeah,
this morning. We kind of predicted this.
We had a Simpsons moment.
Yeah,
And
Granny.
Granny? Connor, put it right there.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, that's where I let them in.
Yeah, we basically predicted this was going to happen. This is maybe our first video that we predictive programmingly made happen. But I think we're getting good.
Not on purpose.
Yeah.
We're sorry if we did not mean to do that.
We're not part of the CIA, so we don't know how.
But one thing that I think is good is Texas is telling them no.
Yes, Texas is taking a stand, which is a very Texas thing to do.
Yeah.
Which, why we appreciate our southern brothers and sisters down there, our neighbors. And I mean, I know our governor's already committed to.
And
to
several
backing
other
them up.
states are backing them up. And that's one thing that people don't understand. A little government history lesson. The states created the federal government.
Yeah.
And they delegate power to the federal government. It's not the other way around.
Yep.
If a state wanted to leave, they probably could. They
Yeah.
tried before.
Well, that's what that can cause other
Yeah.
issues. But hey, like they say, when Thomas Jefferson said, when tyranny becomes law,
Yeah.
rebellion becomes duty.
Like,
so,
what kind of government puts people that aren't its own citizens above its own citizens? Why would they not care as much about the people that live in that country as opposed to people who live outside that country?
I'm a history buff, is what you could probably say, and I don't recall a time in history when this has happened.
Yeah, even
But
tyrants care about their own citizens.
or about themselves, and
Yeah.
they know the strength is in their own citizens, which that makes no sense. But one thing I'd say look at what's happened over in Europe for the last 10 to 15 years.
Yeah.
And it's now happening here. So again, do your own research.
Yep.
We just share that with y'all. We're not telling you how to think, how to live,
Yeah,
whatever.
Go look into it.
Just go look into it. That's why we have this whole segment. Bring it up and let them decide.
Yeah.
And every once in a while, Jarrett will give you his personal financial opinion on the stock market. It's like you're like on a Fox Business when they bring in like, all right, today we're gonna have Dave Portnoy show up and talk about stocks. Barstool founder, like, what's he doing in here talking?
Well, it's his personal opinion. So, well, on to the next headline.
Okay.
This is something that's big in kind of realm of politics. Apparently, she ran for governor of Arizona and lost, supposedly.
Uh-huh.
And now she's running for senator. But this tape got released this week of, I think he was the chairman of the GOP in Arizona, and he's trying to bribe her to not run.
Oh, you have Carrie Lake.
Yeah,
right?
Carrie Lake.
Yeah. Yeah, if you haven't had a chance to listen to that,
Yeah,
go and check
listen
that
to it.
out.
You want to know how politics really works?
Yeah.
Go listen to that.
Again, we're not politicians. We don't talk we're not. I don't even say we're. People go, you're all political now. Like we're not even
patriotic.
Yeah, we just love our country.
God,
so just
family, country.
go look at this, and you'll see this is how this all works.
Yeah.
So
You want to know what goes on behind the curtains when it comes to politics? That tape right there speaks so loudly to a bunch of it.
and you can have your own opinion on how that went about getting released or getting that information. You can have your own opinions on it, but I'm a truther, I guess what you say. Somebody who loves the truth.
Yes.
And it's it's like when the guy from used to be Project Veritas used to expose all these people.
I heard he's got a big story coming out too.
And now it's just O'Keefe Media.
OMG.
OMG.
Yeah.
Yeah. So check that out for yourselves.
And our last headline, and probably the
biggest.
most controversial, biggest headline of the week, is that they're trying to ban Zins in the Senate.
Now we know a lot of you are big Zinners.
Yeah.
You know, we're all born sinners, but some of us get out of that line.
Through the grace of Christ, our sins are forgiven.
Yes. So I'm just saying, if y'all haven't checked this out, they're coming for your Zins. They're coming for your coffee. They're coming once we have a video already coming out this week. Once you give an inch, they're gonna take a mile.
Yeah. There's
So
some people that just want control over every aspect of your life.
Yes.
And they're willing to do anything they can to do that, even something as small as this.
As Zins.
Yeah.
That don't have tobacco. We've been trying to get tobacco out of a lot of people. You know, it's like something that's supposed to be kind of a good. What do they call it? It's not a negative, but it's like creates a positive.
Pick me up. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a nicotine addictive thing,
Yeah.
but it helps get people to not e-cigarette and not do all this other stuff so that's harmful for their bodies. So anyway, do your research on that one.
Yeah.
And really check it out. But I love what you said about control, because that goes into our overall message for this evening. And it's about what controls your life.
Yeah. What do you let control your everyday life.
We don't, me and you talk about the news here, but the thing is, as men of faith, we don't even let the news control our lives, because if you allow that, you get so sucked in and you start to get panicky and all this stuff, worrying about everything. At the end of the day, a lot of it's out of your control. The only thing you can control that we mentioned from Epictetus this week in our video on the quote is like, only thing you can control is how you react to things. People could say something that's offensive or anything else, but it's all about how you react to that. So not letting things control you is a big part of the Christian faith. Yeah. And God talks about it all the time throughout the Bible. Men have been controlled by various things. We talked about
other men.
Like in the news, you literally hit on multiple topics, right?
Yeah, this woman is so controlled by, I don't know if it's greed or what, to steal all these Stanley Cups. Yeah. Something is controlling her.
Controlled. And then you get into like Chuck Schumer creating that thing with the band. That's addicted. Yeah. He's addicted to control.
Yes, and even the corruption and the tapes leaking. Somebody's trying to control Carrie Lake. Yep. So giving her money to not run. And they're trying to control her. Something is trying to control you, whether you know it or not.
Yeah, and in faith, this is the one thing a lot of people forget, that you're trying to get something trying to control you at all times.
Oh yeah.
And there's a winning team and there's a losing team in that control. And that control is sin, and that's on the devil's team. Mm-hmm. Or you could give everything to God and let him be in control of your life, and it's all good. Yeah. But your free will that he's given you is where you ultimately have that choice of, where do I want this control to go?
Yeah, I like this right here in my Bible commentary. It says, we all have a master, either sin or God. It's exactly what you were just saying.
Yep. And so we're all slaves to somebody. Yep. To something.
To something, yeah.
And whether you want to be a slave to sin, slave to the devil, slave to all these earthly things, that's up to you. But for us, how we go about our lives, I think what makes our lives feel a lot not as stressful, I guess.
It takes so much like weight off your shoulder. Like I think I've said it before, I've heard it before too, is that you take the things that weigh you down that are too heavy for you to carry and you lay them at the feet of God.
Yep. Amen.
And he is the king. He's the master. He's the only thing that's worth being a slave to. And it takes so much off of you knowing that you can't honestly, personally handle all the pressure, all the stuff we're talking about in the news and everything. You can't handle that on your own, but that's why you lay it before God.
Well, I was talking to somebody about this the other day. They're like, once they found faith, once they got into this life of like believing in a higher power, believing in God, believing in that Jesus came and died for our sins, we've mentioned it before, I think, but it gave him this confidence, but like gave him this Godfidence, which is like, God is there. You have the weight of the world on your shoulders, but God is up there to like lift it off you. Yep. It's like, hey, I can help you out here. Just believe in me. And when you start doing that, you realize you put your life in towards him, and everything about what this love in this world we've got here, this life that we have, is because of God. And you know that at the end of the day, you're not in control of any of this. There's been a path set forth for you. And once you give up to that, it's like it's the greatest feeling. Freeing. It's the most freedom you have, and you're not, like we were just saying, you're technically in control by God. You're controlled by God, but it's the most freeing control I think I've ever seen or heard of in life. But you are free to choose that, so you're not really a slave. Yeah, you are free.
Not a slave to the things of this world.
Yeah, well, exactly. You can choose to be a slave to either or. Basically, is what we're saying. But you're free to make that choice, and most people who are enslaved or controlled by things don't have that choice.
Yeah. Well, I got a verse from Romans.
Let's hear it. Let's Romans. What we got today?
This is Romans 6:22.
All right.
It says, "But now you are free from the power of sin and have become slaves of God. Now you do those things that lead to holiness and result in eternal life." It's exactly what we've been talking about here. Is that you become free from the power of sin, the things of this world, and you give yourself over to Christ, to God, like the thing that created everything here. Yeah. And you become a slave to him, and not the things that want to control you from this world.
A great analogy. I thought about this driving today. It's like these things control us.
Oh, we're slaves to this.
We're slaves to this. And a great reminder I have every day, I know we touch on this probably every week, people probably get so tired of us, but it's like my great reminder of this thing, not being enslaved to that and being present to God's gifts, is my little girl. I'm sitting there with her, And you're like looking at her in the moment, and she's so happy and so much joy going on, and they don't know there's so much innocence there, and like that's God shining through to her, to me, and like that's what life's about, like not being buried in this thing, and that's like being controlled by something, letting that control your moment. There's lots of parents who sit there and like let their kids do whatever, but the reminder of like, no, I don't. My control goes towards this God thing right in front of me, and that's why I think we feel the way we do about our kids. I was having that thought today. It's like, why are our kids? Because they're a gift from God's. But when we embrace those gifts and appreciate them and not let being controlled by these earthly things, it honestly is like, it's like the best Zen you could pop in your mouth. It's like putting 2 uppers in, Sixers, what do they call them? They got 12. It's like, woo! It's like, that's how you utilizing the gifts God gives you feels, ultimately, to me, you know?
Honestly, I catch myself sometimes where I'm sitting here on my phone when I should be giving him attention, you know?
We all do it because
it's hard
it's
not
hard
to.
Not
this thing,
to.
like, literally, I'm trying to be a slave to God, but I'm also a slave to this.
We are. We're all. Like, you guys are watching this probably on a phone. It's like, again, we're all slaves to it. So it's, I think at the end of the day, it's like, where do you put your time into, though? Because we can't just like, oh, well, give up and be disconnected.
You can't just throw this thing away.
Yeah, honestly. Because it's a huge part of our lives now.
Yeah.
I wish we could disconnect.
I wish we could, but
wish we could get rid of the
It's
internet.
become such a vital part of everyday life that it'd be hard to now, unless an EMP hit or something.
And with that,
okay, so I want to hit a couple emails I got this week, and so I got an email from Cooper, and he told us that he wanted a prayer request for his aunt who's been diagnosed with breast cancer. And so if you can, say a prayer for Cooper's aunt.
Yes, please say a prayer.
For everybody out there that has
who's
to deal
with cancer.
Like
We've experienced it firsthand in our own family. Cancer truly is the worst. Yeah. It really is. But if you all could say a prayer for Cooper's aunt, we'd really appreciate it.
And then Hayden from Indiana, he sent us an email, and he said he started watching our stuff and started getting interested into farming. And he asked if he thought, should he work on farm this summer? Should he get a summer job working on a farm?
Honestly, there's 3 jobs I'd say you need to do before you graduate high school.
What are those?
And I say, like, everybody should try and go sell something. Everybody should work at a restaurant, and everybody should work with their hands on a farm. I feel like
did 2 out
those
of 3 of those.
Yeah, so we all have
yeah.
experienced, like, if you do those things, I feel like it helps give you like a good foundation to get into cap. Like,
you understand people, you understand how the market works, how to sell and buy things. Yeah.
So Hayden, I think it could be one of the best things for your future life to just go experience that for a summer. But thank you for watching, and thanks for letting us inspire you to want to do that.
Yeah.
You know, I know we don't do a bunch of farming content, but it's where our essence, it's our background, who we are from before, and who knows, we may finally get to show a little bit more in the longer form stuff we have coming out this year. But appreciate you, Hayden. Yeah, take one. Indiana's got plenty of farms around that people need help.
There's
at.
Lots of farmers that would love your help throwing square bales this summer.
Oh yeah.
And I've got one more. It's a kid named Wesley from Illinois, and we are cousins. He asked if we were related.
Oh yeah, we were cousins.
And
first cousins too.
First cousins,
second cousins twice.
Yeah, my dad and his mom are brother and sister.
Yep.
And he has a friend who wants to go to church but can't right now because of situations. And I would just say to pray for him, to talk to him, and eventually that seed that you plant today could sprout tomorrow.
Just being an example of how God affects your life, which is what we try to do every week in this, how God affects us. Yeah. Not telling you how to go live your life, but how our lives given up to Him has affected us. Yeah. And the successes it's brought us. Like how much success in our personal lives has it brought. What the social media success, whatever, doesn't really matter. But what it's really done for us, and that's why if you can be that best example for him, and he said, well, his name's Wesley. I said Wilson, which Wilson. Wesley, that's the best thing you probably can do. But hey, man,
just be an example.
Be that example. And I know you've done it already for some other kids in your community. Yeah. That's awesome, man. And just keep up. You're doing God's work. That's all
you can do.
That's all you can do, man. Was that it? Was that all of them?
I think that's it, man.
Wow, that's a wrap. Let's put a bow on it. Cut, print, check the tape, move on, as the Grinch said.
You've probably been wanting to say that for a while.
Yeah, I had to say, like, cut, print, check the tape, move on. I wanted to say that for a while, but that was this week's. I mean, basically, we just don't want you to be controlled.
Yeah.
If you are going to be controlled by God. It's the most freeing thing.
It's the most freeing thing you can do. Yeah.
Which sounds very, what's that? It's a double entendre. I think of the league. Well, I again, do your own research. see how you want to be controlled in life, and see what the
be
good
free.
Lord can do for you, because look what he does for us.
Yeah. Well, you guys have a great week.
And God bless y'all.